Good evening. Welcome to the 4th annual Slippery Rock University Media Hall of Fame ceremonies. My name is Jim Aronson. I am the chairperson for the Slippery Rock University Media Hall of Fame. That's a lot to say. It's a lot of words. I've been doing this for about 4 years, but tonight is a little different. Tonight is about the past, present, and the future going forwards. Tonight we honor a few of our alumni who helped build the foundation for media at this university, who we learn from and still learning from today, undergrads who are our future and will be the next round of Hall of Famers probably in a few years. And there's a reason tonight that I am co-hosting this event. Typically, I host this event all by myself, but tonight I have a co-host, Marrie WTHA Altoona. She is an anchor woman there. Also, the recipient of our undergrad award from a couple of years ago. And the reason I co-host with Morgan tonight is I hate to admit this, I represent the past. Morgan represents the present and future. Because as we move forward, this whole program, the Media Hall of Fame is going to be turned over to the university to run, which makes perfect sense to everybody. And they're going to carry it forward into the next generation. But I want you to see how this all got started. In 2012, we realized, after doing some research, that the radio station was 50 years old. So we said, we got to have a celebration of this. So we went out, we found the founder of the station, his name was Jim Wentz. We gave him an award, and we got people back together. I said, how would you like to have a reunion for 50 years of radio? So we found all the people we could find who ever worked at the radio station within those 50 years. You can see some of the people came back. Whoa, too fast. The man on the left is Mark Raz. He's one of our inductees. He's probably one of the #1 country broadcasters in USA right now. He's won an ACM award. He came back. People came back from all over, from all generations. It was great to see everybody together again. These are some of the people we hadn't seen in 20 or 30 years. And we even put the old broadcast teams back together on the air and let them do shows on WSRU-FM, WNFT, WRCK, WRSK, which was the predecessor to the current station. And we had our first homecoming float ever. All the time I worked at the radio station, we never had a float, but this time we did. And 4 years later, we took the next step. That is our very first website. Not the greatest image. We had a Radio Hall of Fame first, but then we kind of woke up. What's the saying today? Get woke. We realized, hey, if you go into media, you're not just in radio. You could be in sales, you could be in PR, you could be in editing, publishing, programming. You could even be an educator or an instructor. So, we tried to change a little bit to the Media Hall of Fame. Our first attempts at a website and an image and a logo for ourselves, they weren't so great. But then, we had a great logo created by 2 of our students here, Lauren Alt and Morgan. Thank you. And we realized, in addition to honoring some of our alumni, we need to give back to this university that we love. So we hosted the first ever media symposium. We came here, we talked to students, we offered our mentorship, we offered our assistance for if they ever graduate, we can lend them a hand. We had one today. Oh, back a slide. And then we had our Hall of Fame. And we've had it for 3 straight years. Now looking forward, as I said, we are turning everything over to the communication department. They will take the reins in 2021. Oh, excellent. There were so many people to thank for this process. I couldn't thank them all. Back. I'm gonna steal that control from Morgan. Let's go back a slide. Back. No, ahead. Ahead. As part of this process, the communication department has created a brand new website for us, and as of now, it's live. It's coming. Trust me, it's coming. Maybe not. There we go. You go live now, this is what you'll see. I have to give credit to Anthony Shirley. He's an undergrad here who is our new webmaster. And he's created this website for us as part of the transition to the communication department. And I also have to thank very much our superhero here, Dr. Brittany Fleming, and I hope she'll stand up. She is the advisor for the Rocket, for the TV station, and we would be lost without her help. With that being said, we're going to move on. There are so many people to thank that I can't name them all. So what you see up there is some of the members, active members of our committee, people from the school, and everybody else that's helped with this process. On a personal note, you can hear the dryness in my throat. It's a little broken up. It's the last year I'll be hosting this event for a while. The communication department's taking it over. I've enjoyed every minute of it, and I thank all of you Slippery Rock alumni who have helped in this process, learned from Slippery Rock, and love it as much as we do. Thank you. Now, I want to introduce my co-host for the night, Morgan Kosiar.
Again, like Jim said, I'm Morgan Kosiar. I graduated from the Rock in 2018, so last year. So I was here not too long ago, so it's great to be back, and I want to thank the committee for inviting me back to help co-host. So right now we're going to talk about a really cool award that was created not that long ago. I was actually honored to receive the first award. Now this is the Mike McHugh Undergrad Award. Now this goes to a student who is driven, who's in the comm department, who is kind of going above and beyond and doing things to really, set the bar pretty high in the communication field. And I think it's pretty safe to say that you can see a lot of hope in their future and a lot of good things coming out. And so I'm going to have Mr. Mike McHugh come on up. And Dr. Brittany Fleming, she's going to actually introduce, well, it's your award, come on up. And Dr. Brittany Fleming, you are going to be introducing this year's inductees, okay? All right, I'll give it over to you. Okay, good.
All right, everybody. Hello, hello. My name is Brittany Fleming, and I am the advisor for WSRU-TV and the Rocket. I'm an assistant professor in the communication department, and before I announce these awards, I do want to thank you all so much for being here. You have no idea how much it means to the students in the room to meet all of you and to talk to all of you and to hear all of your stories. So thank you for coming back tonight. So I'm standing here beside Mr. Mike McHugh. He was an instructor at Slippery Rock. When was that? A long time ago. Early 80s. And I met Mike whenever I started the National Broadcasting Society chapter here at Slippery Rock University. And NBS, National Broadcasting Society, it's our professional organization on campus where WSRU-TV and the Rocket come together to do media tours and listen to industry speakers, and just kind of network in the industry. So it's the stuff that's outside of all of the awesome production that they do. So both of our award winners tonight for the Mike McHugh Undergrad Excellence Award will be NBS members, and I'm excited to tell you all about them. Is there anything you'd like to say about this award, Mike?
Well, with the job that Brittany and her students have done in the last 3 years with the organization, the National Broadcasting Society, last March they won Chapter of the Year. And let's give them a big hand for doing that. Congratulations on that. When I was here, we were a new chapter, and we won Rookie Chapter of the Year with the organization. You guys have taken it far, far beyond that. And thanks to hard work with the students, particularly Dr. Fleming.
No, it's not me. It is all the students. So all the media people you see standing around tonight, those are our WSRU-TV and Rocket students. So our first award this evening is going to Logan Snyder. And Logan graduated in 2019 with a concentration in digital media production and an emphasis in television and video production, but a specialty in media convergence. I had the pleasure of getting to know Logan very well during her time at SRU, and for as long as I can remember, her passion has been sports, sports, sports. As the advisor for both the Rocket and WSRU-TV, it is not unusual at all for our early volunteers to want to volunteer for the sports section, but as soon as I met Logan, I knew she was not messing around. In August of 2017, Logan created and served as the executive producer for the Around the Rock sports program, a bi-weekly show live streamed through WSRU-TV. In this role, she organized all sports coverage and interviews, produced sports packages and highlight reels, but most importantly, she proved herself as a leader. Logan also worked as the sports multimedia coordinator for the Rocket and also interned for SRU Athletic Communication Office. In her role with Athletic Com, she worked in the live broadcast environment and gained experience in every aspect of game day operation, including shooting for live broadcast and stats inputs. Logan's internship supervisor spoke very highly of her passion for sports and hardworking attitude, but whenever people use words like this to describe Logan, it comes as a surprise to no one. Last summer, Logan also worked with the Pittsburgh Penguins and interned with the director of operations. With the Pens, Logan was able to assist with capturing and editing video for all in-game and web elements. Logan produced such great work with the Pens that she was recognized with first place in the video editing category in the 2019 National Broadcasting Society Media Competition. At the convention, WSRU-TV was also recognized as the 2019 Chapter of the Year, an accolade that Logan, without a doubt, helped the organization earn. So for those of you who do not know, Logan actually started her college career at Robert Morris University, and she left in 2015 after a sports injury. And Logan, they say that everything happens for a reason, and I'm not going to sit here and say that you had to get a sports injury to get you to Slippery Rock. But what I do know is that this taught you a lot about yourself. You learned that in any sort of situation, you can bounce back, and you are an incredibly hardworking and strong woman. Something that my advisor said to me that has always stuck with me, and this is actually kind of the theme of what our panels were today, so I love this, but character is not defined by our success. It's how we bounce back from setbacks. Your character is defined by how you bounce back when your internships don't come through, when your dream job doesn't return your call, and when you encounter a sports injury that you think is going to ruin your future. It's sending in that 100th resume, shooting video in the rain, and telling your anchor that it's okay when they mess up, even when you swear they practiced 1,000,000 times and you're about to go live. Logan, you've proven to have such strong character. You're nothing less than a passionate, dedicated, and talented leader, and it's for these reasons and so many more that I am proud to honor you with the Mike McHugh Undergraduate Excellence Award. Okay, so we have one more just because we have so many amazing students. So for Tom's family and people that know Tom, you've heard this story in the past, but our next award is going to Mr. Tom Fabian. And the first time that I met Tom, I asked him what he wanted to be whenever he grew up. And his response was a YouTuber. And as a communication professor, I sat there and was like, yeah, okay, that sounds awesome. Thanks for coming to college for that. But little did I know, in just a few short semesters, that Tom would be a YouTuber aside from his creative page. And we would all be YouTubers because he led the initiative for all of our live stream programming through WSRU-TV to be live streamed through YouTube and Facebook. So we're all YouTubers, and Tom taught me a lot. So Tom graduated last year with a degree in digital media, a concentration in television production, and like Logan, a specialty in media convergence. While at SRU, Tom served as I'm gonna have to take a breath for this one, the station manager for the Maltby Center TV studio, the executive producer for Around the Rock, the president for Film Society. He served on the e-board for the National Broadcasting Society, worked as the multimedia editor for The Rocket, and fulfilled the role of secretary for Lambda Pieta. And he's only one person. We never cloned him. I don't know how he did all of these things. Because of Tom's hard work with WSRU-TV, our Chapter 1 Model Chapter of the Year and Chapter of the Year at last year's convention in Philadelphia. Tom also took home first place in the video opener category of the National Broadcasting Society Media Competition for his Around the Rock program intro. While at SRU, Tom consistently went above and beyond what was expected of him. For instance, Tom played a major role in the Communication Department's Rock Media Expo. The purpose of this expo was to expose visiting high school students around the region to what SRU's Communication Department has to offer. Tom worked one-on-one with high schoolers to train them on equipment and in different studio positions. But this wasn't the only time that I've watched him train and mentor his peers on a daily basis in and out of the studio. And he still continues to do that every single day because not a week goes by where he's not checking in with me on how student media is doing, do they need his help, anything like that. He's still around. Directly upon graduation, Tom was offered a job as a creative producer at WTOV in Steubenville, Ohio. And even though he's been there for a few months, I have spoken to his boss, and he says that he is amazing. So it's not just us here at Slippery Rock that knows how awesome Tom is. You know, everybody does. So with all of this being said, Tom was a model leader while here at SRU and continues to be a model leader for media organizations. And with that being said, it is with great pleasure that I honor Tom Fabian with the 2019 Mike McHugh Undergraduate Excellence Award. And if our award winners, I wanted to get those both out of the way. If you have anything that you would like to say, you are more than welcome to come up and speak. Tom has note cards.
It is truly an honor to be inducted into the Hall of Fame alongside such great and talented individuals. And my story isn't that crazy. I was in high school, I was the video kid, you know how it is. And I went to school and I started to go to organizations, get involved. And at first I did a lot of it because, you know, it helped your portfolio, it's skills in the workplace and things like that. But I came to realize what a lot of us in this room came to realize, and that's that the communications department is truly a family. And over the years, I began to do everything I could possibly do to take care of this family. It got to the point where a lot of people would joke that if there was no mini board position, I would just have to take it. But that was just kind of my way of trying to take care of everybody that I could. And everything I did because I respected the students of the past, the present, and the future. I wanted everybody to have the kind of opportunities that I have. And I cared so passionately about letting students experience what I experienced and experience it in their own way. And I challenge all the students of like the future and current, just everybody, and even in the workplace, to carry that with you, to do everything because you want everybody to have the experiences that you had, not just for yourself. I mean, it's, you know, portfolio work is amazing and it's great to have those opportunities, but do it because you want other people to have those opportunities too. And of course, I'd be remorse if I didn't thank everybody who helped me get to this point today. So I'd like to thank my girlfriend, Corey, for helping me, to push me always and to always be there whenever I needed her. My family, who always supported me in everything I did, even then, when I said I wanted to be a YouTuber. And to Dr. Fleming for being not just the best organization advisor I've ever had, but for being a great life advisor. And for all the students and faculty in every club and organization I've had the privilege of being a part of, I'd really like to thank you. You shaped me more than I think you realize. Thank you.
Okay, so I'll be quick. First, I want to thank my parents. Without you, I don't know where I'd be. When Dr. Fleming mentioned I went through a sports injury that's, lasted with me for years, and I'm still kind of dealing with. I don't know where I would be without you. I wouldn't have gotten through without you. I also want to thank Dr. Fleming, who was just amazing throughout my time at Slippery Rock. You weren't just a great professor, you were just a great person, and someone I could come to and talk to in your office and cry to when I was going through something awful, and I really, really appreciate that. You and all the other professors, Dr. Arman, you taught me everything I know. I wouldn't be where I am now without you. I've worked with 2 Pittsburgh sports teams because of everything that I've learned from you guys, and I'm so grateful. So thank you for everything, and I'm so grateful that I was able to leave any kind of lasting impression on you guys, that you felt that I was deserving of this award. So thank you for
All right. So yes, the award's named after me. Let me explain. I actually had somebody say to me, well, how can you manage and coordinate and plan an award ceremony and you have an award named after yourself? What the heck's with that? Look, I'm very humbled by it. 2 years ago, our Hall of Fame committee told me, look, we're going to have an award just for you. You're going to get a Hall of Fame award. I'm like, but I'm not in the media. They're like, we don't care. We're going to call it the Founders Award. And it goes to someone who has contributed to this process, to the Hall of Fame, to media at Slippery Rock, somebody who without, again, I'm humbled by this, without, it wouldn't be possible. So the fact they gave it to me, I'm gonna cry. All right, try not to cry to me. So they gave me this award. I thought it was amazing. So since then, we've given it to people whose without contributions, this whole process would be lost. So with that being said, let me introduce alumni Terry Sullivan, who will induct our next Hall of Famer.
Okay. Thank you, Jim, very much. During the years when WNFT existed, those of us that were involved with it knew very well our limitations. We were what was then very commonplace on a campus. It was carrier current distribution. If we had not found a way to run an antenna or wire throughout campus, you wouldn't have heard us. We had designated radio sets in lobbies. We had wired as far away as Keister Road, what then known as the Keister Road Apartments. We had an industrious group of folks. We had a group of folks that somehow or another did it all on a shoestring. There was no communications department. There was at best a speech and theater department. We knew of no one that had real experience in the communications business, and yet we endured it. It's my pleasure to be here tonight with you and to be asked by 2 inductees to introduce them. I was general manager from 1971 to 72, and during that time, those of us involved and those of us who are still around to talk about it are convinced we had quite an impact on the campus, on the students here. There was no internet. There was no streaming. There was no YouTube, sorry. But still, we were a source of entertainment, of sports, of news information. We utilized United Press International ticker for news. We had an ABC line for audio news and sports, and anything else we could finagle off of it. And we created a sports network. for a station in Butler and Newcastle, and fed whatever they cared to take in the way of football and basketball that we produced for home and away games. We're an industrious bunch. And not only did the first alumni inductee demonstrate a genuine talent for his musical knowledge, Jake, to this day, I swear to you, knows more about music of any genre than I have ever known anyone. He is committed, once he's committed to a project, to a goal, there is no stopping him. And there was never any stopping him. And you'll understand that better after you've met him and heard from him. He brought an energy that was unlike anything else we had ever seen. He served as both music director and then a program director in the years I was there. And he proved to be such a model for so many of us as we went off into so many different careers that I can't begin to tell you. Last night we were fortunate. The alumni organization made available to us a room in this building for a conference call. And we had a dozen or so previous staff people who couldn't be here tonight, but who wanted to talk, share stories, ask questions. I can't tell you what fun it was. And throughout it, Jay was recognized for the talent and the important resource that he was to us. He went on to impact, after impacting us, he went on to impact thousands, literally thousands, untold thousands of people in his career after leaving college. And I'm sure you're going to hear more about that. He is, without a doubt, one of my dearest friends. I love him like a family member, and I'm so excited to introduce to you my dear friend, Jay Dowden.
He just said those aren't on. All right, so I want to thank you very much for your kind words, Terry. And I want to say that it's a real honor to be a part of this Hall of Fame that you've asked me to be in. 1967 and 1972 sounds like a long time ago, doesn't it? You know why? Because it is. When I got to campus last night and realized it was 50 years ago that I was here, it really sort of gave me some chills. When we talk about WNFT and we talk about Slippery Rock State College, when we talk about the experiences that we had in starting that radio station and working with that radio station, as you noticed, I'm visually impaired, and one of the great things about it was they didn't care. But what did we do? We gained experience in operating broadcast equipment. We gained great people skills. Why? We had to answer the phone, take requests. We had to talk to people in the studio. We were in North Hall. If you go over to North Hall and look at that room off the lobby, which is now a meeting room, you'll find out that's where the station was. And Saturday night when I do my show, I play the slow oldies from 1 to 2. All the lovers were sitting in the lobby listening. We did events on the lawn out in front of North Hall. We put a speaker in that window, and it would go down, out, across, and bounce off of Miller Auditorium. People could hear us everywhere, including all those carrier current dorms when you plugged your radio in That's how you heard us. When you went to the towers down there, they're not Keister Road apartments anymore, whatever they're called, but we ran wires around that building so everybody in that building could hear us. I would take phone calls from Towers Hall, Bard Hall, Rhodes, Patterson. I'd take calls from everywhere. This gave me the confidence and opportunity to move on to what I can say was my most challenging and rewarding in the field that I was in. The field of operating a radio reading service for visually impaired folks. I'll give you a really quick, what was it? We read newspapers, we read, they still exist. Newspapers, magazines, national and local newspapers, and local talk, and a lot more. All done by somebody who was paid, me, and 100 and some volunteers a week, reading newspapers, magazines. Then, the great thing about it was, I did this in Philadelphia and Lancaster, had the opportunity to start 2 stations. The great thing was, I would do a talk show. I did a talk show on Saturday. Now this, how did people hear us? This was another special thing. This is before digital broadcasting, before all that took place. There was something called SCA, Subsidiary Communication Authorization. It's before the digital FM. So we rode piggyback on an FM signal. So you had to have a special radio to hear it. But we got on cable, we were heard in hospitals. So when I did the talk show, I would get phone calls. And I can remember one, I'll try to do this fast, but I remember one Saturday morning I got a call, and I had been talking the previous week about the fact that my wife and I went to the pitch and putt course, and of course I just wanted to go to see if I could actually had enough vision to play golf. And of course the first time I hit it off to the left and went in the woods. But these people, I was never very good, but I talked about this. And so this guy called me on Saturday morning, he said, "How can you do that?" And I told him, I said, "Look, if I can do it, you can." And I'll be darned if 2 weeks later he didn't call me back and say, "Guess what I did? I went and played golf." I haven't done that in 30 years. Imagine how I felt. I was leading by example. I did that in Philadelphia. You remember who the guy who never reached the Baseball Hall of Fame, Richie Ashburn, great radio announcer for the Phillies for a lot of years. Richie came and did my show a couple of times, and we always take calls, and he was always lots of fun. There's a lot more I could say about what I did in the radio reading service field all those years, but I won't take any more time because I know we have a lot to do tonight. But why did all this work for me? Why did it work here at Slippery Rock? When I was here, we were small. There were just about 4,000 students here. When I went to the radio station and I met those guys, they never said, "Hey, here's a guy who has partial vision, visually impaired, he can't do that." They never said, "You can't do that." They accepted me as a peer. So that's why it worked. So I just want to make sure all of you who are students here tonight and all of you who work for the college realize how important you are to molding people into what they are. This is a great campus. There's a lot of opportunity here, but I just want you to know that there was a time when we were doing stuff before our communications department. Thank you very much for this honor of being in this Hall of Fame. Thank you.
presenting tonight is the Lifetime Achievement Award. And the person that's going to be presenting the award to the inductee, he's kind of an icon. Maybe you guys recognize his voice. This guy, he's known as the voice of the Pittsburgh Pirates. So we want to welcome Mr. Greg Brown.
Gosh, icon. Did anybody record that? Make sure we have that. Thank you very much, Morgan. And congratulations to all the honorees. Really special. I'm honored to be here tonight to present the next award. Hopefully this works. Forgive me for being so primitive. I tested this out for about 2 hours earlier today. And let's try this. Your attention, please. Just you can close your eyes and listen if you'd like. Jimmy T. With apologies for the sound quality there, we did have to go back quite a ways deep into the archives and dust off a couple of very old cassette tapes from the studios of WRCK, as Jim mentioned, and a pioneer, Jay, about what it used to be called, but now, of course, WSRU. But over 33 years ago, the voice of the rock was WRCK, and most of the entire student body was tuned into the #1 rated college show in the country, whose host and DJ is our next honoree. Again, you can close your eyes and listen for a moment to this sound check.
Good afternoon, Florida 308. I'm Jimmy T, and I am strapped in here until 6 o'clock. And we're coming up at 5 o'clock. We'll be having the top 10 at 5. And I'll tell you it'll be the last one of the semester. And speaking of last, I think this is my last final show of my career. So it should be good. It's my 60th show. I was just last 3.5 years, and I know everyone's started seeing me, but time has come to me to step on out that door and join the reward. Anyway, so if you have anything you'd like to get on this last day of my life, and maybe make a call. Give me a call, 794-7518. If you're downstairs, come on up the road, seat to 11, and just let me know what's over here. It is May 1st, May Day, so anything goes today. Right now, the outfield, so it isn't so.
So what you just heard was a sad day here on campus. It was Jimmy T's last show ever. But as he said, there you might have heard on that sound check, it was time to get on with the rest of his life, and indeed he did, on to a long and distinguished career in public relations and Major League Baseball and the Pittsburgh Pirates. It's quite a story, really. Quite an achievement for this honoree. You see, when he entered Slippery Rock as a freshman, he was an accounting major. Not necessarily because he really wanted to be an accountant, but frankly, it wasn't exactly sure what he wanted to do, and he thought, well, he's good with numbers, might come in handy, I'll be an accountant. But Jimmy T had two other real loves. Now keep in mind this is before he met his future wife, Michelle. He loved music, all of it. The production side of it, the spinning the records. He used to record some interviews with students and then segue some of the top hits of the day into those cuts and create some songs that students actually wanted to be a part of. He also had one other love, not surprising, baseball. I spoke with one of his closest friends on campus the other day, a former roommate here at the Rock, Dan Rellan. Dan told me that there were many of Friday nights when everyone was going out to have a good time and party somewhere, but Jimmy T would prefer to do what he loved more than anything, and that was to stay right in his apartment, perhaps at 2B Patterson Hall or Martha Rhodes Apartments, and sit at a table and play the baseball card game APA. Anybody know APA? A-P-B-A. How many of us have played APA in our lifetimes? Nobody else? I did. Jim, you did. That's three of us. It is very involved. I might say it's kind of geeky, to be quite honest with you, and I can say that having played it myself. a dice game with Major League Baseball player cards, their batting averages, home runs, RBI, strikeouts, all the statistics, and he would spend hours poring over the numbers and keeping score of this table game, his love of numbers. Well, it made sense then that a couple of semesters in, Jim Tridinich, having been exposed to this excellent communications department here at Slippery Rock, he switched and became a communications major. Also, not a shock that in 1985, when an English professor, Ed Walsh, mentioned an internship program and opened up with the Pirates PR department, Jimmy T jumped at the chance and a career in baseball began. His first full-time gig was in New York City, 1987. He worked at the National League office of Major League Baseball. In 1989, he was hired as Assistant Director of Media Relations for his hometown team, the Pirates. And 2 years later, he was named Director of Media Relations. He is currently the Director of Baseball Communications for the Pirates, a title he's had since 2013. And before I introduce him, I want you to know, I can assure you that he is as good now at his position as he was when he first started, perhaps even better. He is as passionate, just as enthusiastic, just as loyal to the Pirates as he was when he first interned for the team back in 1985. And not surprisingly, he has received numerous accolades over the years for his great work. One truly distinguished honor was winning the 2011 Robert Fischel Award given for Public Relations Excellence for Major League Baseball. Without a doubt, tonight's lifetime achievement here, this Hall of Fame, tops them all. On behalf of thousands of men and women that he's worked with, including players, coaches, managers, broadcasters, local, national, and celebrities, from Garth Brooks to his good buddy Eddie Vedder, from Pearl Jam, from Dick Vitale to Michael Jordan, the list goes on. I am honored to introduce the Lifetime Achievement Award winner, Jimmy T. Jim Tridinich.
Wow, thank you, Greg. Icon, legend, Greg Brown. Appreciate that, Greg. I've noticed when all these pictures are coming up there, I know I sent them to you, Jim, but my God, the hair has changed many, many times. I specifically love the one that I had back in 1984 with the big hair sticking straight up, but I digress. There, that one's my favorite. I used to walk around campus looking like that back in 82, 83, 84. Good times back then. I'll tell you what, when Jim emailed me back in January to tell me I got this award, the initial response to you was, I hope I'm not here. Because in my line of work, tonight was the first game of the National League Championship Series. Pirates aren't in, as you can see. Half the table back there, my friends from the Pirates are here. Craig, Mark Garda, Terry Rogers, who's an alum from '09. They came up. Thank you very much. So yeah, I would rather be other place than here, but I'm here, so I'm very, very happy to be here. Thank you to the committee for inducting me to the Hall of Fame. Congratulations to the other winners this evening as well. Thanks also to my wife, Michelle, my mother, Wanda, the two most important ladies in my life. One for 55 years and the other one for 30. I've known Michelle for 30, obviously my mom for 55. Probably not 55, the first year I probably didn't know it much. But thank you very much for being here. Zach T, my son, is watching, thanks to WSRU on Facebook Live. A little shout out to you guys. Thank you for covering the event tonight. Zach T out there in Penn State land. Well, no, we're not going to go into. We're a Pitt family, a West Virginia family. I married a West Virginia lady. My brother went to Pitt. Now my son's at Penn State, but I call Slippery Rock home. I'm a rocker, true, green and white. Also, I think my sister may be watching, Judy and Dawn. Judy just had knee surgery yesterday. She couldn't be here, so thanks for watching. Yes, 33 years. It's been a long time. I walked around the campus today, Patterson Hall, where I used to live with my friend Dan Rellin. First of all, I walked in, there was no security. I just walked through this place, walked up to where I used to live. It's now overtaken by exercise bikes. It looks like an office building, so my room wasn't there. What I used to be for 3 years at Patterson Hall. It was a great time. Went to Bob's Subs today for lunch. Had my junior Italian. It was a great time. Bob's Subs. But everything, when we were here, it was a dry town. There was no bars, restaurants. We had pizza shops. we had Bob Subs. So Paul, we all went to, a bunch of us, actually everybody that was there went to Bob Subs today and we enjoyed it. So it was a great time. Walked around the Union, walked down, none of this place existed, obviously, when we were here. This is Bard Hall where we were, all the apartments down the road, or Founders Hall. A lot has changed, but Slippery Rock is still Slippery Rock. I bought my Slippery Rock shirt today, wearing it to Penn State tomorrow, so I'll show off the pride tomorrow. Good luck against IUP. Although somebody here, no, I don't know where you're sitting, but an IUP grad, oh, you're standing over there. We won't mention it, but I think you're going down tomorrow. Also, a county major like Greg mentioned for a year and a half. One of the hardest calls was to my dad, and I had to make it because I said, I don't want to do accounting anymore. And he said, go do whatever you want. So I went into communications, and it was great. I started at WRCK. I covered women's gymnastics for the Rocket. That was entertaining. I did freelance stuff for the Rocket, also like pizza reviews in town for the 3 big pizza shops in town back then. It was great. So that was my initial induction into media. Loved it. And then Ed Walsh was my English professor. He got this internship program with the Pirates and a lady named Sally O'Leary. And that started me. I went to baseball games in the 70s. Growing up with my dad, my family, we'd go to Pirate games all the time. Never knew the world of baseball, media relations, and public relations existed until I got the internship. And that was the best. It started me on my career. I was 20 years old. 2021, the summer of 20 years old and 21 years old. They lost 104 games. Little did I know that would lead to more losing seasons, but it was a great start of my career in Major League Baseball. So all things considered, I came back after 2 years in New York, 1989, full-time, 35 years in Major League Baseball, 33 with the Pirates. 7 of those have been winning seasons, the other 26 losings. I have a sign in my office that says character is defined by tough times. I have a hell of a lot of character, I'll tell you that right now, because it's been a long time, but it's a passion of mine, baseball. I love baseball. People always ask, we speak to groups, what is your favorite part of your job? And my favorite part is you never know what you're going to see. I'm entitled to work for a Major League Baseball team. Yes, there's losing, but more times than not, there's good times. You can see a no-hitter, you can see a guy like Josh Bell hit 3 home runs in a game this year. You never know what you're going to see 162 times a year. Reminds me of a story. In April of 2010, I spoke to a class. It was take your son or take your child to work day. And Zach was going to meet up with me later on in the day, but myself and Jennifer Langosh, one of our writers that covered us from Major League Baseball, MLB.com, we were speaking to a class and someone asked, what's your favorite part of your job? And I said, you never know what you're going to see. History could be made today. And it was. We lost 20-0. Our worst shutout loss ever in Pirate history. So you never know what you're going to see. The other thing I also do is stress the importance of an internship. I was an intern. I stress the importance of an internship today to the kids we were talking to today. It's very important. I learned a lot in my internship year from Ed Wade, who went on to be a general manager, Jim Bowden, who went on to be a general manager, who's now on ESPN Radio. A lot of smart guys laid the groundwork for where I am today. So, also, another important thing in my internship, Michelle, my wife, was an intern back in 1989, so we've known her for 30 years. There's dual importance of internships. Not only do you learn a lot, but you also might meet your future wife or husband. My worst days are even good days. So I do say that. I have a job that only 30 people in the world have. I work for a Major League Baseball team as the Director of Baseball Communications. I love it. In closing, I just want to say, whatever you do, make sure it's something you love. And part of the reason I have lasted 30 years is my passion for baseball and my love of the game. So enjoy what you do, always and forever. Thank you.
Move on with dinner. You are invited to just help yourself and then sit down, and we will move on with the ceremony as we continue to eat.
I'm just gonna walk in. I'm gonna do this right now. Hi everybody. I'm Marrie from WSRU-TV. We are going to take a brief intermission from the live stream as we're going to transition, let everybody get some food, and we are going to live stream on the Rockets page moving forward. So thank you for tuning in for part 1. Part 2 will be on the Rockets page. We'll be going live shortly. Thank you.
I want to thank the Alumni Affairs Department again for providing us this dinner. Thank you, you guys. As we proceed, I have to tell you, you saw that long list of people that I wanted to thank. On that list, I would tell you I would be lost without this person, because I may be the chairperson of this person, but every chairperson needs a good co-chair. So my co-chair, Janet Waldron-Kuhn, is going to come up for a few minutes. We have a very special presentation we'd like to do this evening before we resume the awards.
Thank you, Jim, and good evening, everyone. I'm so glad everybody could come tonight. And I'm going to stand behind the podium, and hopefully you can see me. At various points in our lives, we contemplate whether or not we make a difference. Some of us are able to see where we've made a difference, and some of us hope that we've made a difference. Being just one person out of billions at any given time on this planet, it seems improbable that one person can affect a change. So I ask you to consider the butterfly effect. Simply put, this theory states that a small change can make a much bigger change occur. The analogy it uses is that a small amount of air that is displaced by a butterfly flapping its wings in Chicago can, over time and distance, create a tornado in Tokyo. Scientists who study weather tell us that they have proven this to be true. How many of you have seen the movie or read the book by Mitch Albom entitled 5 People You Meet in Heaven? Well, at least one, so too great. For those of you who haven't, it's a story of an ordinary man who is the head of maintenance at a local amusement park. It shows you how things went for him at different times during his life, and shows you in his afterlife, before he gets to go to heaven, how his actions affected others. Even seemingly negative incidents had much more beautiful outcomes. Or consider the actions of a college professor from Maine named Joshua Chamberlain. During the Civil War, he volunteered for the Union Army. During the Battle of Gettysburg, he was charged with leading a brigade that was to defend Little Round Top. This seemed an impossible task. Rather than make decisions that a brilliant military strategist would make, Lieutenant Chamberlain made his decisions on what he knew and who he was. And his instructions to his men allowed them to successfully defend Little Round Top. Historians tell us that this was the turning point of the Civil War. They have gone on to theorize that if the Confederacy had won the Battle of Gettysburg, and thus the Civil War, the outcomes of future wars, such as World Wars I and II, would have been vastly different. If the Confederacy had won the Civil War, we would have had two countries, basically. We would have had the Confederacy, and we would have had the Union. That would mean in future wars, there would be no superpower called the United States. The imagination runs wild on what could happen without America being a large country of the United States. My point is that while we are each a single person, we don't know what our actions and our lives will yield down the generations. We may feel insignificant, but remember that butterfly? With that in mind, the Hall of Fame Committee would like to remember some of our alumni who are no longer with us, some who have gone on all way too soon. People who were instrumental in the development of the media program here at Slippery Rock, people who were integral in forming the radio stations, people who left a footprint in professional media. We remember the contributions they made both on the university and professional levels. We miss them, and we honor the work that they've done. We may never know how their work will resonate through time. We also may never know how our own work will resonate through time. Let's remember that butterfly one more time. It started out as an ugly caterpillar who built a cocoon around itself. It transformed, it fought its way out of that cocoon by itself and emerged a beautiful butterfly. A butterfly, by just virtue of displacing a little bit of air by flapping its wings, caused a much bigger event to occur. Not immediately, but over time and space. With that, let's get to what we've all been waiting for, and that's the induction of the 2019 Hall of Fame, Media Hall of Fame class. Terry Sullivan, would you come on back up?
How fortunate I am that two gentlemen who are being inducted tonight called me within days of each other and asked me to induct them, to introduce them. I'm delighted. You've met Jay, just a stellar human being. No less stellar in his career and in his impact on the early media days is Bill McChain. We were reminded last night in the conference call, affectionately known as Freight Train McChain. Energy abounded at every turn. Bill was the general manager after me for 2 years. And I should point out, by the way, the general manager after him is present here tonight, Jim Brooks. Say hello, Jim. Thanks for being here. And Bill, he will go on, he will explain how he went on to his career in radio and media, and it's a remarkable one. But Bill was blessed with the voice of an angel. I mean, if anybody, I had a face for radio, Bill had the voice for radio. And to this day, I can't tell you how many fellows on the call last night made that same comment. He was and is one of the smoothest voices I've ever had the good pleasure of being around. And he and his lovely wife, Darlinda, are here tonight, driving up from Virginia. And I know how excited he was to be a recipient. We were, as I pointed out earlier, we were in the early days at WMT. We had energy to match anybody's energy. What we lacked was resources beyond the human resources that we had. And that never seemed to stop Bill. He was always at the helm. He was there coordinating, cajoling, managing, mustering resources to keep the ship afloat. And he did just that. And once again, I am delighted that for the second time this evening, I am able to introduce an inductee into the Media Hall of Fame for this class of 2019, Bill McChain.
have some prepared remarks, but I have to tell you, this is an emotional night for me. Those three guys back there like brothers. They are. I never had brothers, but they're my brothers. So anyway, I do want to stop the tears and talk to you a little bit. First of all, thanks to Jim Aronson for putting this all together. This is an amazing night and a very important night for me, and also Terry. And I was a little concerned because Terry and I were roommates and for a year at Slippery Rock, and you never know what a roommate's going to come up with for an introduction. he was very courteous. Thanks. I'm blessed and honored to be here tonight. I really am. I basically, you know, I must add one more name, though, to the Hall of Fame tonight. That would be my wife, Darlinda. She's sitting right back there. Say hi, because she's put up with me for 41 years. That was Monday was our anniversary, so it's been an incredible week. Back in the early 70s, when I was a student here at Slippery Rock, it was Slippery Rock State College, not Slippery Rock University. You know, we got here late yesterday, and it was dark, so we really didn't see the campus till today. And oh my gosh, it's grown to be an amazing place. It's very impressive. Proud to be a graduate. Actually, started my college career at Geneva College, right down the road in Beaver Falls, and was majoring in business administration. And I was not happy, but my dad said, "That's what you're going to major in." So I did. But at that college, I met a very special man, Mike Emmerich. Now, if you guys know hockey, it's now Mike Doc Emmerich. He's a Hall of Fame hockey announcer, and he is the one that basically introduced me to the radio station at Geneva College and got me in radio. He said, "Bill, I need help." He was my speech professor, and I need help with the radio station. Can you help me out? I said, "Sure. I got some time." So I went down there, and I guess the rest is kind of history, but I really wanted to give him some credit for getting me started down the road. I wish he could have been here tonight or maybe taped something, but he's kind of busy right now because hockey season's underway. But I came to Slippery Rock in 1971. I found WNFT, and then in 1972 and 73, great year. The football and basketball teams, I was involved in sports broadcasting, doing the play-by-play on the Carrier Current station that you've already heard about. So the football team won the state championship. Back then they had the East Conference, West Conference, and we won it all. And then the basketball team went all the way to the NAIA Final Four. It was pretty amazing. An amazing run, excuse me, for those guys. And the cool thing is, we were in Kansas City in the hotel lobby, and the arena was so small, they told the teams, you have to dress in your rooms and then just go already fully dressed in your uniforms. So our team came down, and the only thing on their uniform was a rock. And I'm thinking, these people are going to think you're from Alcatraz or something. What is the rock? So I spent a lot of that morning explaining it's Slippery Rock State College, and these are our basketball players. And so it garnered a lot of attention, as it always does when somebody says Slippery Rock or the Rock. So it was pretty amazing. We broadcast the games, as you've already heard, into the dormitories and places where students gathered. And eventually, two stations, one in Newcastle, one in Butler, picked up our broadcast. So that was really cool. So that's how I kind of got started in sports broadcasting. I was the general manager of the radio station the last year I was there, and then Jim Brooks followed me. So again, they're all right there at that table. It's pretty special. A few great memories. I had two roommates after Terry Sullivan graduated, a hometown friend and a football player, an extremely large football player. His name was Bob Goyak. As a matter of fact, I still think he has a business not far down the road, and I was hoping he wasn't going to be here tonight because he wouldn't like me telling his story. So he was a big football player, so he's obviously always eating, and he was stealing our snacks. I mean, we had snacks in our apartment a lot, but not when he was around. He was the snack monster, okay? So we hatched a plan and didn't think it through, and you'll know why in a minute, but we put a bowl of cheese curls out on the table. We knew he'd go after them, and he did. So I came home one afternoon, and sure enough, the bowl was empty. I said, "Hey, Bob, how were those cheese curls?" He said, "Oh, those were great," right? I said, "Well, you know what? You just ate dog treats." His eyes got real big, his face got red. At that time, I knew I was in big trouble, but I also knew I had a head start to get to the door. He's a big guy, but I figured I could outrun him. I almost did. I got through the door, except this finger right here still has a mark 40 years later where he slammed the door on my finger. And that was not pleasant. But, you know, the bottom line is, when it's funny when you go to Slippery Rock, a beautiful university like this, you come back and these memories come back to you. And the apartment, I saw it just earlier today, still there on Keister Road with the outside staircase going down to the ground. And that's exactly where I got permanently injured. One other memory, and then I'll wrap it up because I know there's a lot of folks still left here. But it was May 1st, my senior year. I was walking across campus and it started to snow. And I'm thinking, really? I grew up in Pennsylvania. I forgot to tell you that. I'm a Pennsylvania guy, Pirate fan, Steeler fan, you know, through and through. I'm home. I feel like I'm home. And I haven't been here in 40 years, but I still feel like I'm home. So I figured right then, I'm going south when I graduate. I don't know how far I'm going to go, but I'm going to go south. And I did. I went all the way to Naples, Florida, and got a job, and that's how I met my wife in Naples, Florida, and my Hall of Fame wife, excuse me. So that's how we met. So thanks again. I'll always treasure my days here at Slippery Rock and the Media Award, the Hall of Fame Media Award. Very special to me, always will be. And thank you very much.
Okay, so we are going to continue on with our Hall of Fame inductions. I want to invite Joe Kafari, who will be introducing, introducing his wife.
Thank you. Shout out to Jim. Jim's done a great job. He's really put a lot of things together to make this night happen, certainly with my presentation and with what I want to say about Lori and the video that you'll see. He was really instrumental in putting it together, and I really thank him because it's going to be, you'll see, it's going to be tremendous. So I met, I kind of wanted Greg Brown to say my speech because he has such a booming voice, but I'm politely declined that. I met Lori Wells on this campus in 1982. I met her on the Blaze Scarnati marching band field. We were on the marching band for 4 years, and we had a tremendous time there. After graduating from this wonderful place, we were married in 1986. We were married for almost 31 years. In 2017, I memorialized my wife as being beautiful, smart, funny, and talented. She was all those things. And while she would be humbled by the accomplishments of all the other awardees, and she would have worked the room if she was here and met all of them, she would have done that. Her place, I believe, as a Slippery Rock University Media Hall of Famer is secure. She was beautiful, but just not physically. She was a beautiful person. Compassionate and caring, fun to be around. Her inner beauty was so much more attractive than her appearance, but she had both, okay? She was smart, or was intuitive. She knew what was important and what mattered. She was very quick on the uptake. She was an exceptional team player. After all, she was a communications major here, and it's kind of fitting that this program will be in the auspices of the communication department. She truly loved that department while she was here at Slippery Rock. She graduated in 1985. And she had a way with words, both spoken and written. Her communication style was clear and coherent and very concise. It was powerful, but simple at the same time. Lori was funny. Was quick-witted. She would use humor to get the most out of a situation and never at the expense of other people. Lori was supremely talented. She was a rocklet. I don't know if you have rocklets anymore on the marching band field. I know it went to corps style music. I'm a drummer, so drummers and dancers got along very well. She was also the singer of the rock band we were in that played many places around Western Pennsylvania. She had a voice like an angel. She was a humble musician. She handled a range of vocal styles with grace and style. She was able to assimilate all these attributes to make a bold statement, and that's really what makes her a legitimate Hall of Famer here. She was courageous and embodied the phrase, grace under pressure. So I'm not here to memorialize her again, but to describe a person who became a media darling in the eyes of all she worked for, and for the organization she passionately volunteered to help promote their cause. Lori worked for many newspapers, becoming the point person to get things done for everyone she worked. Among the many accolades she garnered, her leadership was at the forefront. She wrote great copy, was articulate, and got her message across with relative ease. In 2008, she was diagnosed with an incurable form of thyroid cancer. But it didn't stop her. For 9 subsequent years, she took the bull by the horns and made the most of her time. Excuse me. She became a force at church, leading our praise band through multiple services and performances, organizing groups and fundraisers for her beloved St. Peter's Episcopal Church in Freehold, New Jersey. She organized a Bold Steps walk to raise money for the dreaded disease that took her life. Her oncologist at the University of Pennsylvania knew her talent that she exuded and connected her with marketing people in both the pharmaceutical and cancer research world. I didn't really make this hard. Becoming the poster girl for research and advocacy. When I say poster girl, that's literal, as her face lit up on electric billboards in Philadelphia on Route 76. She was invited to speak at an annual conference to several hundred pharmaceutical reps in Arizona, where she began her presentation by getting on top of the couch, a la Tom Cruise, to make a dramatic statement, which left the audience eating out of her hand. As you'll see in the video that will be shown, her down-to-earth communication style is easily understandable and compassionate, and she gets the message across with humility and sincerity. Probably my proudest moment happened when Marrie was part of a consortium of the American Association for Cancer Research, that stormed Capitol Hill advocating for the federal government to keep and hopefully increase the funding for cancer research. She made it a point to speak one-on-one with Senators Dick Durbin and Cory Booker to make her point. Lori was taken far too soon, and she would have done so much more given the chance. I really thank everyone here for bestowing this honor for Lori, and she would have been proud to stand up here with this esteemed group. Her memory is secure in our hearts, and I'm hopeful that her groundwork that she began will have a lasting effect going forward. Thank you again.
I'm hearing where cancer makes you stop what you're trying. I never really thought about my thyroid, so I was like, I didn't even know there was such a thing as thyroid cancer. I mean, I know people who have thyroid issues. I was surprised and scared and shocked, and all of those things rolled into one. In the back of my head, I'm thinking, how am I going to get through this? What am I going to do to get through this? As soon as I was diagnosed, we started searching for a surgeon. And then I found one up at Newark Beth Israel in New Jersey, and he said, you know, a lot of people are going to say that you have good cancer and not to worry about it, because we don't listen to them, because that's not the case. So I had my surgery, and he said, let's take out the one side that has the tumor. And then he said, if it comes back with definitely a diagnosis of peripheral cell, we'll have you come back in and take the other side out. Well, after I had the surgery, they said, this is likely to have traveled because my tumor was very vascularly invaded. They say if you have less than 2 vascular invasions, that it probably won't spread. I had 22. When I had blood tests, they said my thyroglobulin was very high, and that it was likely something was brewing in my lungs. And I said, well, why don't we just remove it? And they said, we can't, because what we can see is what we can see, so that means there's probably way more that we can't see. And that's what we're going to expect to see growing. So I'm like, that's great news. So what do I do? And that's when we started talking about clinical trials. I started clinical trials at Sloan. I was on a couple of very beginning phase 1 drugs, which is hard because I know those drugs are the ones that are testing toxicity. So a lot of times you don't know what's really happening and if it's really working, but that's part of the process. Felt great, never felt bad, never felt diminished really in my capacity to walk and talk and live and do my job, but they said this is going to keep creeping up on you, so we need to find something that's going to halt it. My husband was searching on clinicaltrials.gov and said, I found this trial at Penn Medicine. Why don't you email the research nurses that are listed here? And within 15 minutes, Dr. Marcia Rose from Penn called me and said, you need to come here, we have solutions for you. And I was on that treatment for about 4 years. Dr. Rose at Penn has always explained to me that the drugs that are coming in the thyroid cancer research world are all based on targeting the pathways of how your cancer grows. She said, don't worry, I'm going to have an A, B, C, D, E plan for you because we're developing all these drugs, and lenvatinib is the one that I think is going to be best for you. She said, even if you have to wait for it, it's going to be worth waiting for. And I waited about 4 months, and that was a tough time. The cancer was becoming visible on my body. I could see lumps and bumps and things popping up on me, and it was really a scary time, and I thought, this could be it. Is this it? And thank God for lenvatinib, because I started that on the clinical trial, and then 4 months later it was approved by the FDA, and I'm still taking it today. I'm happy to be feeling good and looking good. I wasn't able to gain weight on my last drug. It was, in fact, it made me lose weight. I was down to about 98 pounds. I'm now rocking 116 pounds, so I'm happy. In my eyes, I'm doing everything I can to pay it forward. I have this disease. What can I do with it to help? So I'm going to pay it forward by being on clinical trials, by speaking to different organizations, and speaking to different patient groups and going to group meetings to try to help make sure people understand that even though I might look good, I still have the disease, and I'm probably going to have it forever. I think hope comes in many forms. Hope comes in knowing that there are clinicians and researchers out there that are working on my behalf. That gives me hope. If I had been diagnosed 10 years ago, I probably wouldn't be here. So I absolutely have hope and have faith in the doctors that I'm working with. I think it's our obligation as cancer patients to participate in clinical trials. We have the disease, so we need to pay it forward. You need to do something to help advance research. And by being in a clinical trial, you could help oodles of people in the future. And if we don't, they're not going to learn. People say, oh, you're a lab rat. No, I'm not. I'm a person who's making a difference to the future of cancer care.
So just to let you know, with that whole video, 6 minutes or so, her critique of that video is when she said oodles of people. She couldn't stand that word. She said, why did I say that? So I just wanted to let you know. This is my daughter. Lori's mom was at the table. Family at the table.
The next inductee, I will introduce the person who's going to put them in, but I know her very well. I've known her for a long time. She was my editor at The Rocket, and she's an amazing person, but let me let her daughter, Sophia, tell you all about her.
Good evening. I'm Sophia Muller, the daughter of Jackie, obviously. I'm a sophomore social work major here at Slippery Rock University. While I'm proud to be a member of a Rock Legacy family, tonight I'm even more honored to have the opportunity to honor and celebrate the woman I admire and love so much. My mom has been dedicated to her craft for some 30 years, doing extraordinary accomplishments in communications, media, and public relations. I've always had the benefit of lively dinner conversations about her work. She always sparked my curiosity about the issues and heightened interest in the lives of the intriguing people she's worked with. from certain famous fashion designers to the former governor of Maine, a famous legal counselor to President Clinton, and even top chefs like Rachel Ray. Her work was always fascinating to me. Events like New York Fashion Week, on the Food Network, and in managing local national news stories left me awestruck. As a daughter who shared her parents' love of classic rock, I thought it was particularly cool and interesting that she got to work with a photographer who shot the iconic photos of the Beatles when they came to America on their first visit in the 1960s. In my eyes, she has always been larger than life. She handled PR and communications recently when Vice President Pence spoke at nearby Grove City College's commencement, and she worked with Venus Williams promoting her fashion line. Her clients have appeared on many national news outlets as well. Personally and professionally, I know my mom is extremely humbled by this honor, but in my mind, she has definitely earned this recognition. She has always been a coach, mentor, and role model to young professional women, instilling pride in their work, confidence in their abilities, and fueling their ambition to reach beyond the glass ceiling. My mom is my standard of excellence, always showing me how important it is to think critically. To me, she is the definition of professionalism, delivering on her promises, knowing what needs to be done, and presenting herself with dignity and grace, and finishing with her best effort no matter how difficult the task. She is honestly my anchor, my role model, and my best friend. She has taught me to go after what I want, to work hard, and most importantly, grow in meaningful ways. No pun intended, my mother has always been my rock. She always defines poise, style, and a great sense of humor under pressure. Her passion is infectious, and her love for me knows no bounds. I can only hope that a little bit of her rubs off on me. I know that my mom carries this honor proudly. Not only is my mom a PR rock star, she is a Hall of Fame mom too. I love you.
And I'll sashay gracefully to the podium. So I literally fell off a chair and broke my foot in 7 places on June 8th to be exact. So I'm schlepping around here. I think you'll let me lean on the podium for a brief moment to give you my remarks. Thank you, Miss Sophia. I love you very much. Congratulations to all of tonight's honorees. I'd like to tell you that you're not only my professional peers here this evening, but you're truly my rock brothers and sisters who have shared experiences of a very special time in our lives, I think, that can never be duplicated. I want to thank the Media Hall of Fame nominating committee, Jim Aronson, the aspirations of the communications department in this great place that we love called Slippery Rock University. My husband, Jack Muller, is here in the audience tonight. Thank you for always supporting me in my career, helping to manage the unmanageable during all those times when we lived in airplanes and passed each other in airports. A true partnership in every sense of the word for more than 30 years. I met Jack on the campus of Slippery Rock University as well in 1979. I'd like to also thank my dear friends Bruce and Tracy Bolivar for joining us this evening for this honor. Bruce is recently retired Department Chairperson of Hospitality, Event Management, and Tourism, I believe. Did I get that right? I did, so thank you very much as well for coming to honor us tonight. But, you know, not unlike many students who came to Slippery Rock during my era, I was going to be a teacher, a phys ed teacher to be specific. However, my trajectory changed at the ripe old age of 18 when I received an A in a journalism class taught by Mr. Dr. Joseph Normand. He instructed us not only in the mechanics of journalism, but also journalism ethics, style, newsworthiness, and message mapping. That class for me ignited a true passion that has lasted an entire career, and for that experience here at Slippery Rock, I'll always be grateful. While the disciplines of journalism, public relations, media relations, and marketing have really made tectonic shifts since those days. We were so fortunate to have been students of what was a very young communications department that had visionary leaders that I still deeply respect today. So I say thank you to the faculty at the communications department, then and now, a great group of scholars, academic mentors, and career coaches. And lastly, to the communications students in the room, I have 3 pieces of advice for you. First is to build your networks and do all that you can to cultivate meaningful relationships throughout your career, because that kind of hard work truly reaps results for you. Secondly, and this might have been number 1, I jostled with that one a little bit, but it is to learn to write. Learn to write, no matter what line of communications that you're in, because it's the foundation of everything that we do in the business. And it's probably one of the rarest commodities in the public relations spectrum particularly. Always remember, lastly, that you're part of a team. Go around in your career using the term we rather than I. I want to say thanks again so much for this honor, and it's been a great honor and a fun evening. Thank you all very much.
Okay, so the next person I want to introduce you all to is Miss Vicki Hoover. She will be inducting our next honoree.
Thank you so much. This has been an amazing evening so far. I'm really impressed. Oh yes, there is a slippery rock. Amazing. I am very honored to present the next inductee to the Hall of Fame here, the Media Hall of Fame. We have been fortunate to know each other for 42 years, and I told myself I wouldn't get emotional. But hey, if the guys can, I can too, right? Need the glasses. That's circa 1977, and it was WNFT. Oh my goodness. A few weeks ago, we were on the phone, and I heard, I have absolutely no idea what to say about you. I mean, we've known each other and we've been friends all these years, but really, I don't know anything about you. And I almost thought maybe I should spring for a pair of maybe memory foam slippers for you. So you could maybe remember a few things. But, you know, with the passage of time, really, we all have memories fade. They can fade, but they come back. And we've always had the pleasure of knowing one another over the years. And at WNFT and WRCK, Liz Herbert and I became great friends. She used her talents, including her vivacious personality, to be not just a mentor to me, but to others at the station. Being music, no, we were trying to remember what we did. It was a toss-up, so roll the dice. It was music director or production manager. I think we settled for production. I know I did production maybe after you. But what history and what great stories we've heard tonight, especially from some of these veteran guys here. I mean, we heard your names over the years while we were there. So it's so very touching. It's just so very touching. Liz always had an entertaining show. She put her heart into everything she did at the station. She loved it. She loved disco. And many of us really hated it, but she was all about the disco, and so we just kind of went with the flow. But she took her responsibilities very seriously, and she was disciplined, much more than me, always, and confident and very practical. And we can also say that she was very feisty, and when she got mad, it was never really for very long. So you should be proud of your accomplishments here because you were a trendsetter in the station for many of us. And you should be proud that you were the first intern at KDKA Television in Pittsburgh. You've had a great career working in television, also advertising. Thanks for hiring me a couple times. One thing that was bad is, you know what, maybe you do need the memory foam slippers, because once she called me and asked if I could be a hand model, and I said, you don't remember that I have short fingers? I can't be a hand model. But then she threw me some voice work, and that worked out pretty well. So without further ado, I am proud to have Liz Herbert Archambault receive her award this evening. Come on up. Promise.
We're going to be up there for a few minutes. Thank you to all my friends and family who voted for me. I know some of you let out a roar of happiness when the voting finally ended. One friend sent me a medical bill for a sprained finger, and another went over on her phone data, and I had to pay the extra fee. Just kidding. I have far too many stories, and I don't want to bore you by telling you how I arrived at this point in my life. I'm so grateful for my parents who were able to send their fourth and youngest child to college. My overall college education and my experience at WNFT provided me the foundation to obtain wonderful positions in the radio, television, and advertising world. Now in my retirement years, it's all very nice to look back on. I am honored to be included in such an elite and talented group that I have come to know and call my friends. You know, you just don't get on a float and throw candy with anybody. Thank you very much for this honor. All right, now this one's going to be longer. Keep it. Yeah, aren't you supposed to stay up here? Wait, was she supposed to stay up here? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Twitter me this. Which of the following people are esteemed Slippery Rock University alumni? Actress Felicity Huffman? Did she get out of jail yet? Hallmark movie star Lori Loughlin? Gosh, wouldn't want to be her right now. How about Dr. Phil? He has more followers than me, but did you hear what he said about our uni? Now let me tell you about an esteemed alumni and my good friend, Vicki Hoover. In 1977, I met Vicki during my sophomore year. It's true, we were not best friends back then. We hung in different groups. We would meet up at the radio station and occasionally party together or challenge each other to a mean game of backgammon. By my senior year, We had become better friends, and somewhere down the road of life, we became great friends. Vicki, you are a great friend. As music director at WNFT, Vicki was passionate about the music that she chose for on-air play. And as a side benefit, I am assuming that you acquired one heck of a take-home album collection. At the station, we did commercials together, and we even hosted a music show together, the Herbert Hoover Show. I don't think we had very many ardent fans. When Vicki was on the air, she always smiled. It was one of the first little tricks that Chris Corvello, also a Hall of Famer, taught us. Vicki has the natural ability of sounding natural. I have always loved listening to her vocal peaks and valleys, her inflection, speed, delivery, and emphasis. Vicki, you are a leader and a mentor for many aspiring DJs who found their voice at WNFT. As a professional DJ, listeners in Pittsburgh, Texas, Baltimore, and York had the opportunity to hear you do what you love as an on-air talent. Now, I'm sure that you put lots of personal pizzazz into everything you do. As I look back on our friendship, it surprises me that we became such good friends. On air, I played disco. Taste of Honey, Get Down, Boogie, Oogie, Oogie. The Bee Gees, Stay Alive. The Tramps, Disco Inferno. Vicki, you played Jackson Browne, Running on Empty. The Eagles, Heartache Tonight. The Vapors, Turning Japanese. We really had different playlists in our heads. Oh wait, there was one song that we both liked. Can You Name It? Little River Band, Reminiscing. Vicki is staying at our house this weekend, so we came in one car today, and on the drive up here, she tried to change my radio station like 5 times. Vicki, on the trip tonight home, don't even think about touching my station. It was disco. Vicki and I have been friends for 42 years and have witnessed many milestones together. After we graduated, we would meet up at the Three Rivers Arts Festival every year. Then there were weddings, babies, moves, job changes, family ups and downs. When my son was 6 months old, we lived in San Francisco area, and Vicki came all the way out to visit us. That was a long way to go back then. What a great friend to travel all that way. I have great memories of us touring the wineries of Napa and all around the Bay Area. In these most recent years, as we craft the next best version of ourselves, we renew our friendship with lots of texting and phone calls, and with moments like these here at the Alumni Homecoming event at Slippery Rock University. Tonight, I have the honor of being present as my friend Vicki Hoover is inducted into the Hall of Fame. I never doubted that I would see your name on a plaque at this university. What better way to show respect and admiration that I and many others have for you, Vicki Hoover, a famous Slippery Rock University alumni. We will forever know your name. Congratulations, Vicki.
Thank you so very much. Liz, that was humbling. I was fortunate because I always knew that I wanted to work in radio. I can remember having a lot of friends that were here, and then after a year or two, they wanted to change their major. I just always knew that's what I wanted to do. So no matter what it was, whether it was AM, FM, no matter the frequency, no matter the format, it could have been country, rock, I could have been delivering the news. It could have been the assassination attempt on Ronald Reagan. It could be the death of John Lennon. It could be the introduction of AIDS into the United States. we did the rip and read thing back then off the AP wire. There were, obviously no digital back then. But my dream, once I arrived here, where the apartments are now, we had high-rise too, and as it turns out, Jackie's husband, Jack, I recognize tonight as being one of my high-rise 2 buddies back in the day. That was pretty cool. So what a great evening, and I just feel so honored to be here. I just want to make sure that I'm covering what I really want to say. But everyone that worked at the radio station, as I mentioned when I was introducing Liz, Terry, your name used to come up in the radio station all the time, and look how many years before us, not that many, but before us that you were here. But yeah, it was a family and a tight-knit group of people that made it happen and really believed in it. And after being at this symposium today, which was a wonderful event, Liz and I, were talking, and wow, there's some majors out there now that we've not heard of with the convergence, the word coming up of convergence, and please don't eliminate radio out of your lives. Radio is alive and well, and back in our day, people stood in line. I mean, we used to have competition. Well, what do you mean? I need an air shift. Why? There's no air shifts available right now? Get in there and do it. And practice it and learn it and get a feel for it. You might find something that you really love and want to pursue. But that was the first thing I wanted to do. I couldn't wait for my parents to leave the dorm when we moved in on my freshman day, because I hightailed it over to the Union right away. I was there. And we spent minimal hours. Jim even said, we might as well have had a cot there. And over the years, I probably worked at about 8 stations in 10 years. It's a nomadic, and I don't have a true pulse on it now, but I'm assuming that it's still a pretty nomadic industry to be in. And I always made the move because I knew that it was the next stepping stone to go from a medium market to a large market station. So I feel that I've been very blessed working in the radio industry. Thank you so much for this honor. I really appreciate it, and thank you, Liz, again so much for honoring me this way as well. Thanks.
Okay, and the person who will be inducting our final inductee tonight is Mr. Paul Patera.
Thanks, Morgan, and good evening, everybody, and congratulations to all the inductees. What a special group. I really do hope everybody is having a good time. This campus, this college, this Hall of Fame means a lot to me. When I was inducted in 2016, that was an extremely exciting time for me. However, I may be even a little more excited today, since the induction of Charlie Slate makes my induction even more complete. My tag team partner is joining me. Charlie and I became friends quite quickly once he arrived on campus. And again, it's the way it was with anybody who got to meet him. We all had gained a good friend, and I had gained another brother. We loved to talk sports and just about anything else we could think of. We did so for hours upon hours. One of my favorite things to do was ask Charlie what he had for dinner many nights throughout our senior year. He'd tell me he had a banana and a beer, 2 sheets dogs and a beer, or something in a beer. A very interesting trend had been set. We saw each other through good times and bad, but trust me, there were many, many more good times than bad. Plus, when you're in college, other than maybe a bad grade, there's not many bad times. Bad times might mean, why doesn't that girl like me? But seriously, we may not have seen each other much over the years, but that doesn't mean the connection wasn't still there. When I was going through a tough time a few years back, one of my first phone calls was to Charlie Slade. He said, "I'm behind you." That meant a ton. The fight was not mine alone. Many miles apart, but still together. Along with that friendly, easygoing way about him, one of Charlie's strongest characteristics has always been his inquisitive nature, and it has proved to be quite fortuitous for him. Take a quick look at Charlie's bio, and if you can get past the list of one impressive achievement after another, there's a segment dealing with his internship at a Rochester, New York TV station. He asked, "Who makes the money?" and was informed, "It's the advertising department." The path for his future was set. Sure, he knew this was going to make things better for him, but his plan all along was to make things better for his family and everyone around him. Each spot along the way has been a measure of doing just that, making things better for his family and everyone around him. That, of course, includes his 3 children and his wonderful wife, Debbie. Being in their wedding was an honor I'll always cherish, and plus, it was a great weekend. That's the successful plan that will continue. Charlie Slade, making things better for everyone around him. So it is my absolute honor to present for induction into the Slippery Rock Media Hall of Fame my friend, my brother, my tag team partner, Charlie Slade.
So the best part about being the final inductee is I've got all sorts of original material. Things you have not heard from any of the other inductees. No, actually, it's mostly the same. Like, first off, I'd like to congratulate all the inductees, past and present. It's quite a group of media professionals. I'm thrilled to be part of that group. Also would like to give a special shout out to the person with not an iPhone in her hand, but with an Android, who's been with me every step of the way. That's Debbie Slade, who's been my constant companion and supporter throughout all of this. People talk about good colleges. Well, from my standpoint, it was about a college that was good for me. And Slippery Rock State College was that college. See, we all know about my eating habits. Thank you very much when I was here. But I am more of a doer than a thinker or academic piece. So when I got to Slippery Rock, I first got involved with a lot of activities. The Rocket, the radio station, other campus activities. And fortunately for me, there were great mentors along the way, like Mike McHugh and Joe Norman was mentioned earlier, Pam Sheeler, and Dr. Walwick. Dr. Walwick was the person that got me that internship at WHEC in Rochester, New York. Slippery Rock was the start of it all, the start of doing things for me. Because the way that I look at life is every day is an opportunity to take action, to do something that when you have that accomplishment, there is no greater feeling than that sense of accomplishment. So get out there and do stuff. Taking action, believing in yourself. And fortunately for me, I have someone who believes in me as much as I believe in myself. And here again, that's Debbie Slade. It makes me look forward to the next day. That's why I'm that guy that charges out of bed early in the morning and gets after it. Thank you, Slippery Rock. Thanks very much.
So it's been a great evening. I want to congratulate everybody who was inducted tonight. I thank Morgan very much for joining me.
Yes, and thank you all so much for coming tonight.
I want you all to get home safe. We do this again next year. Let me grab the mic. Do this again next year and every year going forward. As I said, the communication department will be taking the reins on this, but nothing's going to change. We're still going to be looking forward to finding some of our alumni who are out there who are building great careers, who have contributed to the media, whether it's radio, newspaper, PR, from Slippery Rock and after Slippery Rock. We appreciate all of you. So we want you all to have a good night.